Dear family, when we start this liturgy, what do we know about today and tomorrow? Labor Day. You sure you want? Okay. You're going to play some more. Is that it? Okay. I'd like to just share with you a short story that has to do with Labor Day. First, picture a teacher in a classroom. She begins her final year teaching at this school for 36 years. Then the maintenance man, who worked also 36 years at the place. And then the young man that I want to talk to you about, who will take over the work that was previously done by the former maintenance man. Now, the woman teacher was always really taken aback and looked forward to, for the last 36 years, every Labor Day, or the beginning of school, because this person knew that the beginning of the school year is not easy to start a new routine. And isn't it true, dear teachers, the surprises of children never end? Am I correct or not? Yes. The little darlings. So she would go back to her room at the end of the day, getting ready for the holiday. There would be a really nice vase with a single red rose in it. Up to that point, she never really knew who that was. But she looked forward to it, so it became so meaningful to her. So she said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait in the cloakroom, and I'm going to find out who this is. So school cleared out, and the teacher stayed in the cloakroom. And then in walked Bobby. And Bobby was an unusual person in that he went to college, New York University, and he obtained a degree in electronic engineering. Now, she knew some of this, but she said, Bobby, I'm so surprised. Are you the one who brought this to me every year for the last 36 years? He said, yes, it is. And she said, tell me a little more about yourself. Well, when you were a young teacher and you approached me because I was somewhat timid, although no one ever put anything over on me, I was timid, but you recognize this, but also recognize the skills that I have, and you helped me to polish them until when I went to the University of New York, I was able to become a mechanical engineer. Do we have any mechanical engineers in here today? There's one over there. Couldn't be without you today for my sermon, so thank you for showing up. And it's so neat that, excuse me if I say this, it's so neat the fact that you're a young woman doing this. Nothing against the guys, just pointing out something about our life, all right? So she said, sit down, I want to hear what you have to say. She says, George, the maintenance man, put a sign in the school that I saw walking by after a college day. And the sign there said, need help as soon as possible. So I applied for the job and I got it. And the interesting thing about what Bobby was able to do with George at his side, George taught him everything about the school that he needed to know. And the one thing about the school was it was always neat and clean. The heat was always good. He did stuff with the windows, so it made it a little more pleasant in wintertime. He and George did all of these things so that the students would have a good place to come and go to school and also to interact with each other. These simple things. So you can imagine sweeping the floor, and here's the big one, cleaning the toilets. I never hear anybody holding up their hand for that. I'll take that back. In the Army, they do. They say, yes, yes, sir. So he used his knowledge as a mechanical engineer to improve the school substantially. The principal never knew. Every year he talked about it. He says, we're ending this school year and we're below budget. And is that ever a good thing for a principal to hear, that he's below budget? And they didn't know why. Wasn't sure why. The principal was always just a little bit leery about it, but well, here we are. We're at the end of the school year and we have money left over. The other gift that was given through the gift of this man, Bobby, and George, was the fact that the kids could come to those two men, and whether it was math, whether it was history, both men knew this story very well and were able to help the students. And you didn't have trouble with kids flunking out, because they would point out a way to go through the material, to know what they need to know, and then go on. So they had this wonderful, wonderful gift. I share this story with you because some of our work that we do is humbling rather. But the important thing is that when we work, that work has its own dignity, and each person has a right with that. I remember a discussion I had about this time of the year when I was in grade school with my parents, and we talked about work. And Mom and Dad would say to me, we don't care what you do, but whatever it is that you do it really well. Try to do it better than anybody else. Not that you're standing out there wanting praise, but do the best possible job you can do, the best possible work at the job where you are, rather. And that's why this story was so important to me, because pieces of that story are like my own life. I am not a mechanical engineer. I see Pete over there. So that story stuck with me and reminded me that it is not about the glory. It's not about winning all kinds of contests, but it is about doing your work, doing it to your best ability. That brings dignity to the place where you live. It brings dignity to the place where you work. And when you're out buying groceries, doing other kinds of things, you remember that these persons are working like you work, and that you treat them accordingly. Now, we always go back to this important issue. What do you do when they don't treat you well? You cut the tip, right? Do you ever hear that? Well, I'm encouraging you not to do that. Not to do it. Because there's a little sign in the office where I pay my rent, and it says, be kind and gentle to another. You never know at any given time what burden they hold. Be a source of hope for the person, not a problem in the midst of all the problems that we have. A simple thing. Be kind and gentle, because we never know what another person's burden is. We have lots of work yet to be done in the world in which we live, and we're part of it because we're up, breathing, and so forth. You've heard me say this to senior citizens in our parish, and I'm one of them now. I didn't think I'd get there, but I got. It's important that you know, even as a senior citizen, you can still do positive and good things in the world. You did not retire from life. That's not what retirement means. You may have a schedule that is more restricted, like I do myself, but you don't stop working. Lastly, I want to repeat it for the third time. Be kind and gentle. Learn that during this celebration of labor, because the persons you meet, you never know what burdens they carry. And you, with a handshake, with a smile, with a card, with a rose and a glass, can make all the difference. The woman that received that rose always felt uplifted by what she saw. And she had lots of tough days. There were lots of things that went on. But the simple rose, simple vase, helped this woman bridge many gaps that she felt as a teacher at that time. Powerful things happen when we turn our life over to God in such a way that we are kind and gentle. We act like the Jesus.